welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel where, hang on, that is the wrong fucking window. How'd that happen? There we go. That's the window we should have. How's everybody doing, chat? Let me just make sure you can all hear me, because I spent an hour talking into a muted mic this afternoon, and I'm very eager for that not to happen again. You may be surprised to hear that. So I thought we might start out today in this continuing fucking horrible period we're in of just absolute mass murder and the world's lowest quality propaganda to try to justify and distract from it all. Just like, I mean, it's really remarkable how little effort Israel and the US are putting into making credible propaganda to justify their atrocities. They're just trying to make it through one news cycle and create a little bit of confusion. And that's it. And thought we might start out with a video from PragerU on understanding health insurance.
We've all got a wild side. Feed it with meat.
Health insurance is a very important part of our Health insurance is a very important part of our lives, both medically and financially.
Well, mostly financially, because they're going to take a shitload of money out of your account. Medically, it may or may not have any impact at all. Like, sometimes you get an insurance policy and it basically, I mean, it doesn't really matter what it says in the policy document. The policy document is the maximum they may give you if they're feeling up to it. There's nothing that actually enforces... There's no enforcement mechanism worthy of the name, so they can just kind of get away with anything. Like, I have a health insurance policy from United Healthcare, absolute pieces of shit, and they've just kind of decided they don't cover healthcare.
But did you know that health insurance in the United States started in the mid-1800s?
Like, okay. Why do we care? I mean, lots of shitty things were going on in the United States in the mid-1800s.
And covered only railroad and steamboat accidents?
No.
That's still more than you can be assured of being covered now.
I had no idea.
Today, health insurance options cover everything from basic medical needs, like yearly checkups and the occasional visit to the doctor for your average aches and pains, all the way to complex medical issues like surgeries, long-term disease treatments, and childbirth.
But mostly they just take fucking money out of your account, and if you actually need any healthcare, you're gonna spend 5 or 6 hours on the phone fighting with people who actually literally do not have the authority to help you out, whose only purpose in life is to stand between you and the people whose assistance you actually need, the people who could potentially assist you. And you will listen to the Muzak version of She Drives Me Crazy for hours and hours and hours and hours before you find out that actually they just don't cover what you need. Which is why 70,000, in a normal year, it's definitely worse now that, you know, since the pandemic began. But in a normal year, before all that shit happened, they were killing about 70,000 people a year on average in the US.
That's great. But why would I need health insurance?
Well, have you thought about what would happen if you got really hurt or sick?
Yeah, well, yeah, you go to a country with a functioning healthcare system and you get sorted out.
I'm healthy and exercise regularly. I'll be fine.
I sure hope you have some deep pockets.
Oh, yeah, why would you need wait, I mean, PragerU, they're the ones who tell us how wonderful, like, it is to be just ruled over by capitalist overlords all the time. Why would you need deep pockets? I'm misunderstanding. Are you saying that healthcare in the United States is expensive?
And why is that?
Well, because people like the billionaires who fund PragerU have basically bought off the entire U.S. government, basically every legislator who has any influence at all, so that despite the fact that most people would like to see an actual healthcare system in this country, it's never on the table.
Okay, so maybe you do need to tell me about health insurance.
Health insurance
sure,
is designed to protect you from the cost of the medical services you need when you're sick or injured.
Well, no, that's what it's marketed as doing. What it's designed to do is to take a lot of money from you and give you as little as possible.
You choose a plan and agree to pay a fixed amount or premium each month. The
And then there's a deductible, which is just evil.
insurer then pays a portion of your covered healthcare costs. These payments are typically based
Oh, I love how they just kind of skip over the bit where covered is in itself just a fucking ream of caveats, because there's what's covered, there's what they will actually commit in writing to in the policy, and then there's what they will actually fucking do when it comes down to it.
on discounts that health insurers negotiate with doctors or hospitals. Now, if you don't have health insurance, the medical bill for your injury could cost you hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars depending on the severity.
And sometimes even if you have health insurance, because your health insurance decided they're not going to pay it. Or because you get one of these really, really evil plans that proliferate on the so-called exchanges, where you have like a $10,000 deductible, and they just kind of scam people into taking that absolutely useless piece of shit coverage by having a really low premium, because they know that they've got people over a barrel, since you literally are required by law to give your money to these evil bastards.
$3,000?
That's nothing! For a U.S. hospital bill? You can't even sit in a fucking emergency room in this country for that kind of money.
I told you it could get pricey. Let's imagine that you do have health insurance.
That's not pricey. Well, hello, River. Hello, Phoenix. Yeah, this is slimy as fuck. I mean, and just the idea that that $7,000 is an expensive hospital bill in the U.S. Like, I mean, that's not how that works.
You'd pay a premium of, say, $100 a month, and each time you receive medical
Yeah, right.
care or fill a prescription, you are charged a copayment.
Yes, which is usually going to be 100%. Because if your insurance is that fucking cheap, then your deductible is through the roof.
This copay is part of the actual cost that you are responsible for, and your insurance would cover the rest. So instead of paying the entire medical bill, you would pay something like $20 to see the doctor, $50 for the x-ray, and $25 for the cast and
Unless, of course, the ambulance takes you to a hospital that's out of network, in which case you will pay only $200. Wow, only $500 for the x-ray too, and only $360 for the cast and crutches and shit. Wow, I mean, this is cheap.
crutches. These are also known as out-of-pocket costs. Now, let's say your injury
Yeah, as in the sort of costs that in normal countries you don't have.
is worse than you thought, and you need surgery, which may require a hospital stay, more doctors, more appointments, and more copays.
Does it ever stop?
No, it doesn't, and, because this is capitalism, and this is like the worst form of capitalism as well. But there is a way to make it stop. This is where PragerU's about to tell us about communism.
Well, with insurance, you'll meet your deductible at a certain point.
Yeah, at a certain point. I haven't met that shit yet, and it's not for lack of healthcare needs. I have paid those motherfuckers, let me see, a couple of $1,000s at this point, in exchange for them sending me EOBs telling me why I'm shit out of luck.
This is the amount you're responsible for each year before insurance begins covering most.
Oh, that sounds... What wonderful people there are on Twitter. Sorry to hear that happened to you, Phoenix.
Most, if not all, of the bills beyond your basic services. Deductibles can range from $0 to $7,500 annually for an
Well, or even more than that.
individual, depending on the monthly payments on your plan.
Well, and also, if the services that you need are only available out of network, that doesn't count against your deductible, so you're screwed.
Typically, the lower the premiums, the higher the deductible, and vice versa.
Yes, because it's just a scam.
Some services may require coinsurance, where the insured pays a percentage of the cost. For example, if you need surgery, you may be responsible for 10%, while insurance pays.
So, wow, I mean, considering that surgery, we're only talking, I mean, like, say, a basic knee surgery, that's about 20 grand, 30 grand. So you're only paying $3,000 you don't have. Wow, what a wonderful deal. This is such a great country.
The rest. The good news is that most plans have an out-of-pocket maximum per year. Once that maximum is reached, any care you receive for covered services will be 100% covered by your insurance.
Yeah, and that out-of-pocket maximum is more than most people in this country could afford. So you're screwed.
So, who pays for health insurance?
It depends. Sometimes an employer will pay all or a portion of it.
And yes, this is a very convenient way for them to get you over a barrel, because that way, anytime they fire you, they can threaten you with losing the even hypothetical access to healthcare that you have with a shitty health insurance plan.
If you're under the age of 26, you might be under your parents' insurance plan with their employer. There's also the option for paying for your own private health
It would name Adam Smith.
insurance. These tend to cost more than group or family plans. Lastly,
Yes, they do, and they're also useless.
there is government-subsidized health insurance. This is when the government or another organization helps
Subsidizes insurance companies. Like, if there's a government subsidy and you don't actually see the money, it is just a subsidy for whoever the money's getting paid to. In this case, it is a subsidy that allows the insurance companies to charge out the ass for their just fucking pyramid scam. And then it turns around and you have to actually claim it as income on your taxes, so you get screwed either way.
helps to pay for part of your health insurance. Now that you know a few things about health insurance, here are a few things to consider so you'll be a savvy decision maker when it is time to get your own plan.
Yes, the first thing to consider is that you live in a shit country and probably should get the fuck out if at all possible.
First, do your homework. Take the time to research different insurance companies and become familiar with their terms and policies.
And remember, everything is designed to make it impossible for you to reasonably compare things. Because otherwise, the shit insurance companies would never actually get any customers, except they're all shit, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Then, make a chart to compare your options. If you have questions,
Pros, maybe theoretically will help me get healthcare. Cons, probably won't.
talk to an insurance agent. These are professionals who should be able to help guide your decision making. Second, consider yourself. Your lifestyle choices and family medical history can have a huge impact when considering the costs and benefits of the policies available to you.
Yes, and of course the thing is, you don't fucking know what kind of healthcare you're going to need over a given year. I mean, there are certain things that you just know you need because they're the things you need. But you don't fucking know if you're going to turn out to have fucking, you know, get run into by a cyber truck and just to have it burst into flames on you because the thing is designed to basically self-destruct. I mean, you don't know if that's going to happen. You have absolutely... Nobody has any fucking idea what their unexpected healthcare needs are. Like,
Remember,
seriously.
insurance is all about risk, so make sure to factor your own.
Well, yes, and the real risk is that the motherfuckers aren't going to pay.
Third, consider your budget. Even if you have a solid health insurance plan,
Which you don't.
have money set aside to cover some of your out-of-pocket costs.
Yeah, I mean, this is fucking comedy, right? I mean, in this country, like the last figures I saw, most people would be shit out of luck if they had an emergency that cost $400.
Also, there may be times when it is a better idea to negotiate paying the medical provider directly rather than going through insurance. If you have money set aside, this makes it a lot easier to do.
That's how I've felt all day, Phoenix. Jesus Christ, what state is this? I mean, this sounds a little bit like what the deal that Biden made over the last fake debt ceiling crisis. That cutting food stamps was definitely part of that. God, this fucking country.
Nobody plans to get sick or injured, but
I mean, fortunately, there's money for genociding people. I mean, we all needed that.
everybody eventually does. Understanding health insurance before you need it ensures one less surprise at the doctor's office. And just like you need to keep...
Well, no, it just creates a whole new genre of surprises where you get to find out that the wonderful fucking health insurance policy that you're paying $500 a month for doesn't cover any of the things you need. Not
an eye on your bank accounts and investments, you must keep an eye on the terms your plan offers and make updates as needed. Here's to good health and a quick recovery.
You make updates as in other words, I mean, what a just the level of just bullshit that this system just imposes on people. Like the idea that not only do you have to do this once, which is bad enough, find one group of fucking crims to send a whole bunch of money to in hopes that they might actually do what it says on the tin when you need it. But, oh, well, maybe they will change their terms in midstream because they're allowed to do that. And so you might be shit out of luck and you'll have to do it again. And it'll be even more expensive if you do it mid-year because it's not an open enrollment period. What a wonderful country.
Oh. Ow! 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 Not again!
Watch more at PragerUKids.com, and parents, don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, fuck that. Okay. And so, I've got a number of options here. It really has. I have to say, this is one of the things that actually keeps me going. Occasionally, I've felt like really shitty, and it's like, you know, maybe I'll give it a miss, and I haven't. And the reason I haven't is because every time I do it, it turns out, reliably, I end up feeling better after I do. And I really do hope that it's that sort of place for all you here, chat. So, the JabroniCon continues. We've got some interesting options. By the way, did you hear the video okay? Was the audio on the video all right for you? We've got Caleb Maupin argues with libertarians. I mean, that's just so rich in that's so rich in bullshit. I can't see how it could possibly be bad, except that there is that known phenomenon where actually having too many complete jabronis in one place naturally means that one of them ends up sounding reasonable. We've got Vosh suddenly noticing that Joe Biden sucks. That could be interesting. And we've got Vosh complaining about leftist TikTok. What does everyone think, chat? Wisconsin. I was born there, and yeah, everything I hear, it just seems to be getting worse. Everything's fucking getting worse. So, everybody hates Joe Biden? No, oh, good to hear it. Nothing but the best takes from leftist TikTok, both from Voosh or Caleb Maupin argues with libertarians. What's everyone's pleasure? Let's see. Maybe everybody hates Joe Biden for a start. It's a short one. Yeah, these fucking ads. Fuck you, YouTube. I mean, the last time, like the
Biden
past
lifted
few days,
restrictions
I've
on
been
what-
getting like fucking Daily Wire ads. Which is just even worse. I mean, the ads already suck. I mean, there's that shitty ass game. Same goes for me as well, Phoenix. That the ads show up for, but now it's like you get you get transphobic ads from Daily Wire, and that's just a thing that they are gonna serve on people's videos without
Biden
even
lifted
warning.
restrictions on what weapons the U.S. would have to give. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Wait, XQC's channel has been terminated? Oh. Yeah. Well, let's hate on Vosh hating on Joe Biden, because Vosh has been fucking sucking up to this jabroni all along. I mean,
I think your support among Dems even more.
and one of the things that gets me about Vosh, oh holy shit, I've never freeze framed this. And now I'm regretting doing so. Is like, when it's South Africa or North America or whatever, he immediately goes into white genocide propaganda to argue against decolonization, and somehow he does not actually but somehow he like makes an exception, at least in the few things I've seen. He makes an exception for Palestine, and that's just a really weird, interesting, not at all questionable thing that he does. I mean, because obviously there should be decolonization in all the fucking places, and the white genocide bullshit is bullshit. But Vosh is racist.
What do you mean lift nearly every restriction? Like what weapons?
Well, I'm just surprised that there were any restrictions in the first place. Like, there are, on normal foreign aid programs, there are that the U.S. has, which are really export promotion subsidies. There are all sorts of bureaucrats that the U.S. sends over to these countries to audit the program, to make sure that they're spending the money where the U.S. allows them to spend it, and on things that U.S. businesses make money off of, rather than any place that might be more useful. But I mean, Israel does not have any of that stuff to begin with.
Do they need that they didn't have before in their purge of the Gaza Strip?
Well, bunker buster bombs, apparently, because they're trying to just completely level any reminder that Palestinian people ever lived there, or let alone lived there for like 2,000 years.
Like what do they have? Nukes? No, they have nukes. They already have that. Like seriously, what what insane high-tech, ultra big brain shit do they need to liquidate the population of the Gaza Strip? Since it's been back.
Well, it's more a quantity thing than quality, really. I mean, that's the thing. And this is what, I mean, a lot of liberals, one of the most insufferable, liberals have been insufferable this whole time. But one of the most insufferable things is when liberals actually lend credence to this bullshit that Biden is like coaxing them, maybe do a little less genocide, guys. You know, maybe try to hit a few thousand fewer civilians, maybe. Like any of that is anything other than just pure propaganda for our benefit. When the reality is, the Israel, when they're doing things the U.S. is cool with, like they are now, they are playing. It's basically they have an unlimited ammo cheat. The U.S. is the unlimited ammo cheat code. And the thing is, they literally could not do this the way that they're doing it if they were not assured that their ammo stockpiles will never fucking run out. Because, I mean, they're not just, like, bombing one area and then fucking off. They are being fucking thorough, just leveling everything. That's not what you do when you are worried about running out. And the only reason they don't have to worry about running out is that Joe Biden is cool with this and wants to see it happen. And all the liberals in the world talking about, oh, they've been like trying to whisper in their ear and say, maybe do a little bit less of that. Yeah, I mean, they fuck right off.
Home for Thanksgiving break. I've had in-depth convos with the 4 Arab relatives and family friends. All 4 have said they won't vote for Biden 2024. They insist they will abstain, even if it ends up benefiting Trump.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. This is... Liberals have absolutely no meaningful answer to that. Because they'll be like, oh, well, you just want Trump to win. It's like, no, clearly the Democrats want Trump to win. Because the Democrats are the ones who decided that this dickhead should still have a political career in the first place. A guy nobody liked to begin with, who was already at long odds the first time, has actually managed to become less popular than he was in the first place. Like, they don't have to stand him for president. They have candidates who would easily do better than him because he's like the worst thing they've got on the menu.
I've had the same conversations with all my Muslim friends and family members over Thanksgiving. Not a single one says they'll vote for Biden again, having voted for him in 2020. Every single one says because of Gaza. Dems need to understand the anger is very real. I know for a fact a ton of like sneering, pencil neck, dipshit liberals reply.
You're one of them, Vosh. Not on this specific issue. Not that I haven't heard him say it on this specific issue, but he's done entire streams where all it is pencil neck dipshittery about how Vush says Lenin would tell you to vote for Biden, and like that should be a convincing argument anyway.
Applied to this, going like, well, those Muslims don't know what's good for them. Don't they know Trump's better?
Motherfucker, you did this. You literally, I can pull up the stream. You clipped it. Because you actually were somehow apparently proud of it? This is you. You're just not doing it in this one case.
People don't seem to understand is that just because mathematically it's better to vote for Trump, that doesn't mean that it's not Biden's fault for making himself so unlikable here.
And it's not that, and it's also the Democrats' fault for making him the alternative. That is absolutely an unforced error. They could run somebody else. There are other people who are more popular. There are like fucking earwigs. There are rats and roaches more popular than that motherfucker.
Like, if Biden personally came to your house and kicked down your door and your mom and shit on your face, he would still probably be a better president than Trump. But, like, I'm not going to get mad at you for saying that guy, I'm not voting for him, you know?
Not to mention, I mean, here's the thing. We've had him for, I mean, it feels like 50, 60 years, but it's actually not even 4. I mean, that surprised me too. It felt like we've had this motherfucker for centuries. But in all that time, he has literally reversed not a single Trump policy. Like, all the worst shit. All the stuff that liberals were pretending to be outraged over, like the concentration camps, like the family separation, like, forcing refugees who are running for their lives to sort of wait and risk their lives on the Mexican side of the border to see whether the U.S., which traditionally has a horrible record of treating refugees to begin with, might decide in individual cases to comply with their international legal obligations and shit. Um, I mean, his COVID policy is just stolen from Trump. I mean, we're talking about plagiarism. We're talking about fucking XQC. Biden is the XQC of Trump. I mean, all he's doing is he's just watching the Trump video and just sort of staring at it while people scream in chat.
I understand and appreciate the raw mathematics of the situation, and we do need as many people as possible.
I do not do a
Fuck off.
podcast, UFC event. I don't do anything without using Alpha Brain. Oh, that.
To vote for Biden, but
Well,
holy
I mean, that is as much of an advertisement against the shit as I can imagine. Joe Rogan uses it.
shit, Biden is making it really difficult to both to vote for him and to advocate for voting for him.
Well, then don't. Like, I mean, yeah, it's not that it's difficult, it's that it's bad. The idea, we are getting up against it here. And arguing that any fucking energy should go into elections that demonstrably will not and cannot get us what we actually just desperately and immediately need is a waste of time and just a dangerous distraction.
I have no stomach for like arguing to vote for Biden. Like
he's gonna get over that.
Genocide. Not even like, you know, it's just happening incidentally, but he's like gleefully enabling it and ignoring the possibility, you know, of a different path on any.
Well, he's not ignoring the possibility. I mean, a different path is actually pretty easy. In this case, it's called not doing it. Like, it's literally the other path is you don't do genocide. You don't. That's it. That's the alternative. It is not a hard one to find. He literally looks at this alternative, which has been staring him in the face the whole time, which he has had access to the whole fucking time. Like, literally, on October 7th, he could have said, look, he could have taken Netanyahu aside. I mean, they have a long-standing relationship. Like, back when Netanyahu was suspected of involvement of the plot to assassinate Yitzhak Rabin, look it up, that is an actual thing. He was very closely associated with the guy who did that shit. He was friends with Joe Biden. He could have said, look, you're saying some pretty wild shit, BB. Don't think that we're not going to be there for you if you do that. You gotta pull your head in. And if he had said that, there, like 21,000 people would be alive right now. Gaza would still be standing. Shit would still be bad there because the place was already unlivable because of the U.S.-Israeli siege. But lots of people would not be dead right now. Lots of things that are now rubble would not be rubble. The alternative is not a hard one. The alternative was literally to fucking do nothing.
Level is insane. Did you say Deepak do just that? Deepak has always had really stupid opinions when it comes to Israel. When I raised a bunch of money for Palestine Children Relief Fund, he like offhandedly said it might be going to Hamas. He's always been like a Zionist, parentheses negative. People got mad at me when I said that before, but like literally, he's literally like taking the worst possible positions on this. Apparently, his community is going after him for it too.
Joe
because,
Biden
like,
and
yeah,
the
it's getting
Volk
increasingly unpopular to be just like a bloodthirsty psychopath when it comes to the ongoing destruction of the Palestinian people.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. He's a bloodthirsty prick on all sorts of things. He was enthusiastic about invading in Afghanistan, enthusiastic about invading fucking Iraq. Like, I mean, this motherfucker has not met a war he didn't like. He is just a violent prick.
Which, like, dude, holy shit. To steelman a pro-Biden argument, Joe is working on the Saudi-Israel defense deal, possibly the best-case scenario for Palestinians. Part of the
No, it isn't. There's no best-case scenario there, because the thing is, Palestinians have absolutely nothing to gain from the Saudi-Israeli defense deal. In fact, the reason that the U.S. is so fucking okay with just outright genocide right now is that Palestinians are in the way. What happened on October 7th, in geopolitical terms, was the Palestinians who had Biden had been, and like Trump before him, and Obama to a great extent too, had just totally dismissed as a complete irrelevancy. They were, they were a has-been. They were a non-issue. That was how they were being treated by Washington. I mean, that's why this normalization deal could go forward in the first place, because it was just an open fuck you to the Palestinians. And then, October 7th comes along and it turns out, oh wow, the Palestinians actually are capable of getting in the way after all, and now they have to be dealt with. And so the result is, I mean, there's absolutely no best case scenario in any of these normalization deals, because one of the basic things about these normalization deals is that the Palestinians are not part of them.
The deal involves Israeli recognition of Palestinian territory, mostly West Bank, though. America has the power to stop what's happening. It might be...
Oh, he's right there. They absolutely have the power to stop. And the thing is, Israeli recognition of what exactly? I mean, at this point, it is so full of illegal settlements. The idea of the two-state apartheid solution is just... Yeah, I mean, it is just not realistic. There's simply no way you could do it. And even if you did, it's still fucking apartheid. It is literally the end game of South African apartheid, which was to get international legal recognition for the Bantustans. And the only country that came close to actually providing that recognition, yeah, Israel. They allowed Bophuthatswana to have a sort of a non-embassy embassy in Tel Aviv.
Be politically unpopular, and maybe the difficulty would be like finding the right balance of politically unpopular and effective when it comes to stopping the genocide. But Biden has been like full-throatedly sucking Netanyahu's dick this entire time.
No, he hasn't. That is to get the entire relationship wrong, because the U.S. controls Israel. Israel is totally dependent on the U.S. When Israel wants to do something that the U.S. doesn't like, all the U.S. has ever had to do is make a couple of phone calls and maybe snub somebody briefly, just a mild snub, and after that, it's just gone. And the fucking Israel lobby that everyone thinks is so fucking powerful, they don't do a thing about it. Like, Israel had a deal they were trying to make with the DPRK a few years back. I mean, like, more than a few. Like 10, 15 or so now. And the U.S. caught wind of it, said, yeah, you're not doing that. And all these lobby groups that a lot of people think are specifically representing Israel's interests, they didn't say a thing about it, because they're not representing Israel's interests. They are doing propaganda for U.S. imperialist foreign policy in a strategically essential region. That's it. That's what they're doing, and that's why you will never hear them say anything when the U.S. smacks Israel down on the rare occasions when Israel gives them a reason to.
All these crimes, like, we will put no stops, no holds. Like, there's just no way around that. There's no, like, 20 chess way around it just being enabling a genocide. Would it be politically unpopular? I mean, it really depends on the way in which he had to do it.
What was that?
Just being enabling a genocide. Would it be politically unpopular? I mean, it really depends on the way in which he had to do it.
It would not be politically unpopular at this point. Like, I mean, the polls, a ceasefire, which is just really, which I should note, I mean, it is absolutely just depressing that is now like a radical demand, according to the political class. Just the idea of not doing genocide is a radical demand, but it's like 60% of the population as a whole are for it, and 80% of people who vote for Democrats. I mean, it is an absolute fucking open goal as a political position to take. But they don't give a shit.
I guess. Created in the 1980s to supply the U.S. in case of a regional war, the War Reserve Stockpile allies Israel, or RWSA-1, or RWSAI is the largest known network of what are effectively foreign U.S. weapon caches.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. has these all over the place. They're dotted all over Britain too.
Highly regulated for security. The stockpiles are governed by a set of strict requirements. Bernie's op-ed in New York Times is still not exactly calling for...
Of course it isn't, because Bernie will never do the right thing if the right thing is going to embarrass Democrats. That's the deal he made. And he lives by it. He has been consistent for the entire time since he's been in federal politics. He will not do the right thing even when he is in a position to do some good unilaterally. He will not do it if doing it would make the Democrats look bad. And doing the right thing in Congress virtually always will make the Democrats look bad because they're usually not on the right side of it.
No wonder Biden doesn't have to do anything behind the scenes to curtail Israel. And that's also like you could...
Go fuck off. I believe that behind the scenes Biden has been doing a lot to curtail Israel. No, all he literally has to do is threaten to cut off the weapons supply. And also, hostage exchange did not come out of nowhere. There has been a deal on the table to release all the civilians out of from the very beginning. The thing is that Hamas did not actually want the civilians. What happened was, after the perimeter of the ghetto was breached, it wasn't just Qassam fighters who went out. It was all sorts of people went out. And some of them just brought back like civilian hostages that nobody had actually asked them to do. They just kind of did it. And Hamas actually managed to sort of centralize that, get them all into one place and everything like that. And they've been trying to make deals to get them over, to exchange them in the first place. Because the ones that Hamas were actually really interested in were all the senior military officers that they managed to capture. That was what they were interested in. They did not actually want to be. They did not actually want to be saddled with a whole bunch of civilian hostages, and so they've been trying to find some way to hand them over. But the thing is, to hand them over, you actually do need to be able to safely bring them over to an exchange point, which requires an end to the carpet bombing, and Israel has not been willing to do that, and the U.S. haven't been willing to do that.
Excuse any politician in that way, you know? We've had days of no bombing and hostages are being exchanged that seem to come out of nowhere. Hamas...
No, it didn't come out of nowhere. That's just people not paying attention.
Offered to exchange hostages a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, it did not come out of nowhere. It came out of the fact that there is massive pressure all over the place. Like, even Antonio Guterres, who has never been somebody to buck the trend when it comes to, what the U.S. wants, has been, putting some heat on and trying to get the U.S. to, maybe consider doing the right thing. You have millions of people in the U.S., outside of the U.S., all over the fucking world, out protesting and doing blockades and doing some actually disruptive shit. Supply chain disruption even going on. You have the threat of a regional war as various groups in the region actually threaten to intervene humanitarianly to put a stop to it. I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere. It took a huge amount of pressure to get the U.S. to consider even taking 4 days off.
And the days of no bombing, that's not true. There have been attacks. Also, it's just...
that's also true. The U.S. and Israel did not stop bombing during the pause. They stopped bombing certain areas.
The pause, like, what do you think the Palestinians are going to do with this pause? All they have time for is picking bodies from the rubble. Like, here you go. You get 4 days where maybe you will get no bombs falling on you.
Yeah, I mean, they spent it. I mean, apart from eating some of the still massively inadequate food that they got. I mean, I saw a picture of like a group of Palestinian journos in Gaza having what I would imagine was probably the best maklauba of their lives, just by dint of the fact that it came after a month of not properly eating. But other than that, I mean, it was just, it was fucking dire. It was just digging fucking mass graves and shit.
While you sort of pull apart the corpse pieces, and then it's just right back to it, Like, what is this even? Delay? The U.S. government is only supposed to spend $200 million per fiscal year restocking the WRSAI, about half the total cap for all U.S. stockpiles around the globe. The White House request, however, would waive the limit on U.S.
Oh, that's the limit. See, okay, when I was saying that's the limit we're talking about, it's not a restriction on anything other than quantity. And, I mean, it comes down to basically an unlimited ammo cheat code for the genocide in Gaza. Because if they're waiving the limit, that means that it's just going to be continuously, I mean, that would allow I'm quoting here, that would allow the stockpile to be continuously replenished, meaning that in real time, as Israel draws on it to commit mass murder, the U.S. would continue to send more in there. That is the degree to which the U.S. and fucking Joe Biden are in this. Like, literally, the U.S. is an indispensable party. Not only that, they got 2 carrier groups on lethal Overwatch. I mean, they are in it up to their necks.
That would allow the stockpile to be continuously replenished. Dude, like, Biden's not only like, yeah, man, we fully support Israel. He's like, yeah, let's literally unlimited money in military support.
Yeah, I mean, and this is in addition to the shit that they're already getting. Like, in a normal year, they're already the leading recipient of U.S. military aid in the world, and that's already unusually unconditional. Like, the one condition on it is that 75% has to go to U.S. arms companies, but the other 25%, it doesn't really matter because there's no such thing as Israeli capital. Israeli capital and U.S. capital are totally commingled, so the other 25% ends up going to companies that are co-owned by Israeli and U.S. capital. So it's kind of all goes to the U.S. in the end.
For liquefying the Gaza Strip for nothing. Like, what military are you fighting? Boss, you guys are going to get Trump again? Because I don't know how 2024 is going to go, but if Trump does win, 100 billion%, it will be more on the Dems than 2016's loss was too.
Yeah, well, all of them were on the Dems. The Dems chose shitty candidates nobody wanted, and that created a situation where you could have really close results.
Hillary was a historically unpopular candidate who
say with fucking Joe Biden.
And her failure is the Dems' failure. And this will be triple that, quadruple that, easily. Vosh last week, it's imperative for all leftists to vote for Biden. Vosh this week.
Thank you, Vosh's chat. That's exactly right.
Biden is a Giga Zionist. He's so cucked him. Those are me both weeks. Still.
Yeah, okay, well, at least he fucking owns up to it.
Voting for Biden. This does sound hollow, but Biden says chance of permanent ceasefire. Why do you guys keep using New York Times links? Why do you guys...
Chance of permanent cease? Fuck off. Like, I mean, this is... He literally would just have to pick up the phone and say it's over. That's literally all he would have to do. Because at this point in the carnage, as much as the US has Israel over a barrel normally, these motherfuckers in Israel, the Israeli leadership, all the top generals, the prime minister, the president who continues to say really just outright genocidal Greek statue profile pic Twitter account shit. The entire fucking cabinet, the entire media system as well. All of these people have been enthusiastically cheering on this mass slaughter. At this point, they are so fucking fucked if the US were ever to even consider not derailing efforts at international legal accountability. They would all go down if the US did that. And they all know that. So they will do whatever the US wants. If Biden wants fucking blowjobs from the entire fucking Israeli cabinet, he will get them.
You guys choose to keep doing that over and over again, time and time again. Biden says the chances are real that the pause could open the door to a longer ceasefire. Asked if he...
Fuck off. I mean, you hold all the fucking cards in your hand, Biden.
Trust Hamas to uphold its end of the deal. Mr. Biden said,
That's literally not the question. There is a long record. Trust Hamas to hold up their end of the deal. There's a long record of Hamas actually not only upholding ceasefires, but enforcing them against other factions in Gaza. The problem, it has never been Hamas not living up to a ceasefire. It is that Israel violates them from the very start.
I don't trust Hamas to do anything right. I only trust Hamas to respond to pressure. So longer ceasefire, i.e. longer pause, not a permanent ceasefire. And then when asked, like, oh, well, what about the untrustworthy Hamas people? Hamas is, like, more trustworthy than the IDF when it comes to aggression between the two sides. AIPAC needs to be registered as a foreign agent the way they spend.
Yeah, oh, fuck off. No, they are very much a U.S. agent.
So much. I mean, it's a PAC. It's just money. It's not a foreign agent.
Yeah, and aside from that, the thing about AIPAC and the specifically, like, pro-Israel lobby groups, you look at the money, they are nowhere near as well funded as the oil and gas industry and the arms industry. Like, I mean, it isn't even close. We're talking about, like, tens of millions, tens of times more money going to Congress from oil and gas and the weapons industries and the high-tech industry, which is also very key in all this, than from, AIPAC and these motherfuckers.
Also, a lot of the support and political will for AIPAC is domestic. It's just like Israel and Jews are just a lever that they use to put pressure.
And no, it is not actually primarily Jews, actually. In fact, if you look at it, if you look at the actual numbers of the demographics of the Zionist movement, Jews are barely even represented in it. There are 14 million Jews on this planet. Just one major U.S. Zionist organization, Christians United for Israel, has 80 million members. Like, that's more than 3 members in that one Zionist group for every Jew on the planet, and not by no means are all of us Zionists. There is a growing anti-Zionist contingent in the Jewish population, so it's even starker.
Pressure on each other. It's not like actually Israel's power or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Nazi
supplemental
shit.
budget request would further undermine oversight and accountability, even as U.S. support enables an Israeli campaign that has killed thousands of children. Cool. I think we might be singing a different tune once we get closer to the election season. Yeah, you can pull optics, however, man. It doesn't change the fact that, like, Biden, like, this eternal taint, you know?
Yeah, the eternal taint. That's an interesting way of putting it. I would have just called him an asshole, but...
Like, with regards to foreign policy, Democrats had a pretty clear high ground.
No, they didn't. When it comes to foreign policy, there is literally no daylight between the parties. That is absolutely... I mean, there's an old saying in U.S. politics ends at the water's edge. What that means is, when it comes to U.S. imperialism, everybody understands that, the parties are all on the same side and they don't fuck around with each other. They're gonna do the same shit. And that is exactly how foreign policy, U.S. imperialism works. There is really no meaningful difference.
Decades back, Obama mishandled a ton of stuff, but he wasn't Bush. And Biden did a hell of a lot better than Obama.
Fuck off. Actually, Obama managed to take everything Bush did and make it worse. Like, including, especially when it came to the, wars against Afghanistan and Iraq, which, I mean, one of the, like, darkly comical things about his administration was the number of times they pretended that the fucking war against Iraq was over, when all they were doing was redesignating occupation forces.
And now Biden just gets to preside over a genocide and fully enable and abet it and fund it and provide weapons and defend the people who commit it and repeat their lies. Like, that's not going to change if Trump, does a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what you need in order to actually make the lesser evil argument is you need a lesser evil. You don't need, like, a slightly different flavor of evil. You need one that is like appreciably lesser. And the Democrats have actually moved over so heavily into just like pointing out how scary the Republicans are, which is not hard because the Republicans are just, I mean, fucking terrifying. I mean, fair dues. But the thing is that you have to actually demonstrate that you're going to be better for that to work. If it's just vote for us, why? They suck. Well, you suck too. Yeah, they suck more. They suck. And it's like, well, you need to not suck. Like, do some things that don't suck. Then you can actually possibly make the lesser evil argument. I don't actually really buy into it in the first place. I think we're way fucking past that. I think that any reason to believe that any kind of positive change could be had through the U.S. electoral system had just washed away a very long time ago. But like, if you're going to try to make the argument based on like being the lesser evil, then you need to actually demonstrate being less evil.
Or says stupid shit, which he always has. You know, would Trump have handled it differently than Biden? Yeah, I probably would have done worse. Though,
Well, I mean, the thing is, I don't know that he would have done anything different. I mean, because I mean, Trump is anti-Semitic as fuck and pro-Israel as fuck, because those two things go together. Anti-Semites love Israel. The people who hate Jews largely love Israel. But the thing is that liberals probably would have been freaking out over it earlier. Like, I mean, we saw that in, during the Trump years in particular. Like, all sorts of things that are just normalized now. Like the fucking concentration camps and the family separation and not doing shit about a lethal, debilitating pandemic that is just running rampant and ruining millions of lives. And liberals were angry about that until Joe Biden took over and continued doing that shit. And then liberals kind of got cool with it. So I think on the other hand, I mean, what we are also seeing is, I mean, really unprecedented levels of public opposition. It mostly, unfortunately, symbolic opposition that is not going to get the goods. But I mean, actually, in this particular case, it's just so awful that I think probably everyone who was going to be against it already is.
well, I am willing to say that Biden has done so
Enough.
terribly, and Trump is such a wild card sometimes that there is a possibility he would have done the same or better. No, I don't think he would have. I only think that Biden's done so poorly that it's within the range of possibility. It's within like the you know spectrum of possible outcomes with regards to Biden's approval rating on Democrats. Man, look at him pulling apart like that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, clearly the smart move for the Democrats, if they cared about winning the next election, would be to replace him. He has so completely just bathed in shite in the past few years, especially in the past couple of months, that nobody can stand the stench of him.
The end here. Purple is disapproval.
Hello, I don't know nothing. Oh, everybody's doing as well as can be expected in this fucking apocalyptic hellscape of a post-capitalist society we're living in, as we watch fucking, fucking real-time genocide and stuff. But
Of course.
good
We
to
saw
see
this
you
article.
here.
Biden standing hit news low against Israel-Hamas war. Nice. I feel like that's a lot of presence, though. I mean, yeah, sure, and he lost a lot of popularity when he pulled out of Afghanistan as well, but
Which is fucked up. I mean, because that was ending the occupation of Afghanistan was just an objectively good thing to do. That what was fucked up was then immediately turning around and stealing all of Afghanistan's assets that were held abroad, and imposing mass murderous sanctions on the population there to punish them for having successfully defeated the U.S. occupation.
like, damn, dude. This is not politically effective. If you look
God,
at
that's like the second time I've seen a reference to that REM song. I think I know the one. I'm pretty sure I know which one we're talking about. Very acoustic, very slow, 1993. Um, I believe it's the same one. I just saw a reference to that yesterday. My sister that year. My sister is an amazing singer, and she spent that entire year playing and singing that song.
538, his approval is up 5 points since October 7th. On October 7th, he was at 14 points.
Well, remember the fucking margin for error is 5 points.
7 leaning disapproval. Now he's at 16.1 leaning disapproval. Vosh about to start agreeing with Genocide Joe TikTokers. I mean, he's doing a genocide, you know? It's pretty straightforward, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is... What you have is this. It's an amazing number of specialists in the field who are pointing out, quite correctly, that the normal difficulty with the way that genocide is set up as an offense under international law is proving intent. And in this case, proving intent is an open goal. Proving intent is extremely easy because you have fucking, Herzog saying there are no innocent civilians. You have you have things like just openly announcing they're going to deny them food and water, and people are dying of starvation. They didn't stop dying of starvation and dehydration during that fucking pause because there was nowhere near enough of anything to avert that, and they're continuing to die of starvation and dehydration even as they're also being bombed to shit.
Honest with you. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't beat Trump necessarily. I'm just saying.
I think he's kind of at long odds.
It's so tiring. Yeah, I'm sorry about the long pauses in my speech. Just honest, earnest, honest.
I got songs written too.
Tired.
Okay. There we go. Got through that. And I'm kind of curious about watching Caleb Muppet argue with libertarians. I feel like that could be some very wild shit. So I think that's what we're gonna do next. I am still proud of that animation. Here we go.
If you have a utility meter like this on the side
up.
of your house, you could get paid to go solar.
Hey everybody.
Oh, he's back to doing the junior high vice principal look.
Glad you're here tonight. So tonight we're going to do something a little bit interesting. We haven't done this before.
They're going to do something interesting. Caleb Maupin's going to do something interesting, chat. Well, a little bit interesting. He's not like going to overwhelm his audience by doing something really interesting, but a little bit interesting.
I'm opening up this stream. This stream will be open. Anyone who wants to can jump on. I have to.
Oh God, I mean, considering the horrible fucking jabronis that show up on his streams anyway, the people who he's like holding at bay, I really shudder to think.
Be able to see your face. There's a couple ground rules. We'll go over that later.
Why the fuck is he dressed like a funeral director?
But basically, we are gonna bring some libertarians on to explain communism to me. So if
Oh, well, I mean, somebody needs to explain communism to him, but I don't know that those are the people I'd go with.
If you want to come on, here's the link. It's in the chat. It's in the info. It's on the...
He dumped a link like that in my chat. Like, when I was way early on in the streaming, when I basically never got anyone in chat, he showed up in my chat one time and just demanded an immediate debate. He'd seen something I said about him, and he had feelings about it, and I blocked him immediately. Oh, thank you, Riveroon. I'm proud of that because that is I was trying. If you watch North Korean TV, which I occasionally do because I like to keep an eye on it. God, Phoenix, I am so sorry to hear that. I just know I am available to talk in Discord and stuff. It just doesn't seem like all that much to say. It doesn't seem like all that much to say. It's like, but I just things suck at the moment, and I know you're having a really horrible time. I wish there was something more that I could do to help with that. I'm glad you're. Let me just say, I'm glad you're here. If I don't know if that's a good enough reason to keep going. I mean, it's, but I consider it something of one.
Twitter, and it's everywhere you can get it. It's down below. It's in the chat. It's everywhere. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I say that the century on which we are entering can be and must be the century of the common man.
Oh god, yeah, that's right. He's horny for FDR.
Redistribution of economic power.
I mean, we know that racism is just a byproduct of capitalism. Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people.
We need a government that will make sure Americans are taken.
God, fuck off. You're gonna position yourself next to, was that Fred Hampton? I think that last one was, and Martin Luther King and Caleb Maupin. God, even motherfucker doesn't half think highly of himself.
Care of and organize the economy to serve the people, not the profits of a wealthy few.
We now have the...
That is such a fucking platitude. Like he invented that idea. I mean, he doesn't even have a way of like, he doesn't even have an idea for how to do it that is anything other than just like bullshit liberal social democratic crap.
Techniques and the resources to get rid of poverty.
We got to start getting out there with the people.
Get out of the movement and get to the masses.
Oh,
we need a government of
you're not even in the movement, motherfucker.
action.
What the fuck is a government of action? Fucking hell. Like, yeah, I like.
All right, everybody, welcome. Glad that you are here tonight. So, basically,
I don't think I've ever actually heard Hampton speak. I've read a lot of what he said. I don't think I ever heard it. I don't think I've heard his voice before. Yeah, I mean, this motherfucker putting himself in one line with Hampton and. Oh, it will be. I will be interested to see how your mom reacts.
the other day, I guess I'll give you the background about why this stream is happening. And then we've already got 2 people waiting to come on. Now, one of them, I can't see their face yet. So the person in the chat named Ryan Ashmiller, you need to reveal your face. I can see Nick Nunley.
Okay. I've never heard of either of these jabronis. They're just random jabronis he's bringing on.
But Ryan Ashmiller, if you want me to bring you on, I have to be able to see your face before I can bring you on. That's just kind of how we roll here. But anyone who wants to come on, and you don't have to be a libertarian to come on, by the way. You know, if you just want
to, you could just be a regular Nazbol, like all the normal shitty people I have on here. I really hope that things will improve for you, and I don't know if there's anything any of us in here can do to help make that happen, but have a feeling that pretty much everybody would be kind of down to do that if there was something. Hi, Adria.
Hop on. We've done open streams before, so anyone can hop on, but I generally am looking for libertarians to come on. But let me just explain the background of why I decided to do this. Right? So the other day I was on Twitter, and
that's the only thing he's ever doing is doubling down or tripling down. He occasionally quadruples down, though. I mean, so that is a variation.
Following a lot of libertarians because I'm a huge supporter of the Rage Against the War Machine Coalition. I actually
the coalition made up of just neo-Nazis and white nationalists. Like, I mean, seriously, this motherfucker, we saw this on stream as well. He, after deriding it, just fairly just like standard, MLs, I think, for pointing out that that a group of neo-Nazis and so-called libertarians were not good people to be organizing a so-called anti-war rally with. I mean, and he just completely laughed at them, and it was really ridiculous. And then he discovered that, wow, actually the people he was hanging with didn't even want to let fake communists like him stay alive.
They want to stop World War III. I'm mad at most of the mainstream woke left that repeats propaganda against Russia and China and builds the
I don't know that necessarily that's like I totally get being tired of suffering. Believe me. And I don't, I mean, I wouldn't presume to know what you can and can't do. But I do, just entirely selfishly, hope you manage to fight another day. And please, if there's something anyone can do, just, I mean, is I get the feeling that part of the problem is you just don't have a lot of people around you.
The case for war. And so, I had a friendly chat with Angela McCurdle on here a month or so ago. We had a great conversation, and she was a libertarian, very vehemently disagreed with me. I disagreed with her, but we were able to have a productive exchange. And I've followed a lot.
Yeah, you had a productive, because you're both full of shit in different ways, and both of you were just, grifting shitbirds.
A lot of high-ranking libertarians because, I want to stop the war, and I want to stop tech censorship, and I'm opposed to vaccine mandates, and I'm opposed to FBI repression, and I think there should be an...
Well, it's funny that you're opposed to repression, but you've never said a damn thing about Stop Cop City. That is, like, the nastiest police state repression we have seen in a very long time in the U.S. And this motherfucker who likes to talk about repression when it's, like, the Nazis from January 6th facing extremely mild charges given what they did. I mean, compared to, say, J20, the protesters at the Trump inauguration, who are facing 60 years, even when the prosecution didn't accuse them of even personally doing anything, just on a theory that by being at a protest, you were criminally liable for anything anyone at any protest did. Friday afternoons, I'm actually doing a different, doing my language stream. I mean, and let me just say, Phoenix, really, I know it's not much. It actually kind of sucks. But, if there is anything that anyone, from afar can actually do to help, just really, please just say so. I mean, maybe it's something that, maybe it's something that people here can help with, maybe not, but I wouldn't, but I would like you to know you can, and this goes for anyone who's in bother, who's having a rough time of it, which I think, at the moment, is pretty much everybody. Except for the rich ghouls who are profiting off of all of this misery.
Amnesty for the January 6th protesters. And I don't like the fact that the FBI...
Yeah, too, we're speaking of the devil. He talks about fucking January 6th. He never said anything about January 20th. He never said a damn thing about Stop Cop City. But a few Nazis, many of them, like literal cops, facing really mild charges. That's what he's decided is the example of police state repression he wants to talk about.
FBI has been targeting dissident groups. And so I feel like there's a lot of common ground. So anyway, the other day, one of these libertarians I followed...
Yeah, I mean... I don't know about that, but... Hey... I don't know that I would actually be able to help in those specific ways personally, but I can certainly offer an ear. Maybe you find some chosen family.
Tweeted this out. I'll just put it on the screen here. So Carolyn Ann Harlow tweeted out, communism is a disgusting death cult.
Oh, wow, this is just such a wonderful exchange of ideas going on here.
And I replied, communism turned Russia and China into superpowers and raised millions from poverty.
To which, but she had a fucking zinger coming up.
You have no clue what you were talking about. And Karen, I guess, responded with the brilliant argument, I'm sorry you are retarded. Now, clearly that just debunks...
I mean, wonderful fucking ableism there as well. Yeah, because that's so fucking easy.
Everything I said right there. I mean, that's just a really strong, logical case against what I said about Russia.
I mean, and it doesn't even get into the fact that, I mean, what he's talking about literally just isn't communism. I mean, it didn't even claim to be communism. Well, in the case of the Soviet Union, they sort of started out closer to communism than they were at any point later on. They were just moving away from it further and further. Under Lenin and then post Lenin even more so. Like, the claim was that they were moving towards communism, but they were never actually in it. And I don't think, turning states into superpowers is not really an argument for anything. Who gives a shit? Like, the question is, did it end exploitation? Did it...
Russia and China becoming superpowers. I mean, she just completely just...
Oh, it isn't.
Destroyed me right there. So I was thinking about committing suicide and just going away and dying because clearly I must know nothing because...
Well, I mean, you don't know anything. But, I mean, this exchange does not actually really give you a chance to showcase your ignorance to the extent that you have previously. I should say... I mean, he does know 2 paragraphs of Marx.
She just called me retarded. So, I've continued, and now all the libertarians are coming at me on social media, right?
Yeah, I'm there for it. Let them fight.
Right? And they all insist I know nothing about communism.
And they're right. I mean, they don't know shit about communism either, but this motherfucker doesn't.
show you another highlight. This was a great one. So I thought this was just some random dude bro account. I didn't realize who this was. So, you know, a bunch of people are tweeting at me. One of the people that tweeted.
Yeah, I mean, finding at least some things that matter to you to spend time with can at least kind of make the shit bearable. Even when all sorts of other bullshit is going on.
Tweets at me. Is some guy named Joshua. And I guess he's a libertarian candidate for president. But I figure there's a lot. I mean, it's a third party.
Joshua at large. Wait, I don't even understand what he's arguing at. You never say that the USSR and such wasn't real communism? Well, I mean, it wasn't. It fucking wasn't. Because you'd be one of the first communists to be honest in well history. Wait, is he saying that that would be the honest argument? Which would be a really weird position for a fucking libertarian to be taking? Like, what's his fucking argument here? The libertarians mostly exist to take votes away from the Republicans.
Right. So he says, you never say the USSR and such wasn't real communism because you'd be one of the first communists in history. So basically, he accused me of saying that the USSR was not real communism, not real socialism, which is something.
And I mean that. See, I don't read it that way at all. I mean, in fact, it's really kind of confusing. Because he seems to, the way it reads to me, it sounds like he's saying that that would be an honest thing to say.
Something I do not say, right? Maybe woke Trotskyite college campus Bernie Sanders kids say that. I don't say that. Anyone who's all familiar with that.
Yeah, the Trotskyite Bernie Sanders kids.
Any of the books I've written, any of the classes I've given, and all of that.
Yeah, they demonstrate that you don't know what communism even is.
You know, I don't denounce existing socialism. I uphold its achievements. I'm critical of its failures, etc. And when he accused me of saying that, I said, well, I don't say the USSR was not real socialism. And he said, you never say that because you're one of the first communists to be honest.
But he has a question mark. He says, you never say that the USSR and such wasn't real communism, question mark? Because you'd be one of the first communists to be honest in well history. Like, and why am I parsing this dickhead?
I said, there's plenty of communists who defend really existing socialism. There's plenty. I mean, the Communist Party of the United States, the communist parties of the world that were part of the Communist International and were aligned. But apparently all communists are woke kids with pink hair who say, well, that's not real socialism. I don't say that.
No, I mean, I don't remember Karl Marx having pink hair, but I mean, to be honest, the photographs were all black and white, so maybe he did. But I mean, he did call it Lassallean revisionism.
But so I pointed out that actually there's plenty of communists in the world who do actually defend real socialism,
which is kind of an interesting way of putting it.
And he wasn't going to have that. So let me show you where it went next. It went next.
I'm glad we get to see his fucking Twitter shit. Well, yes, but I mean, but you also have to keep in mind, there are apparently the campus Trotskyite Bernie kids. Because, I mean, if there's one thing I've found in my time around lots of different members of lots of different Trotskyist sects, is that they all fucking love Bernie Sanders.
It went next to, right? Here we go. I know more than you. I have read more communist literature than you.
That doesn't take much. I mean, I have translated more communist, even specifically, well, you can't really say it was Leninist because it was, I mean, Kollontai wrote this in 1909. The Bolsheviks weren't a thing. She was actually arguing for the Social Democrats at the time because the Social Democrats wouldn't jump the shark for another 5 years. I've translated more fucking communist literature than he's read.
You are just a run-of-the-mill, retarded college kid who thinks communism is cool. Now,
hey, that's not fair. He's not just a college kid. He also has is a cult leader, and he did work in a sandwich shop. I mean, he did do some proletarian shit for like 6 months.
I'm 35 years old. I haven't been in college since 2010. But, you know, what do I know, right? I'm just a college kid, right? Because everyone who believes in communism is a college kid. And he's apparently read more literature than I have.
Well, I mean, considering the fact that you only quote the exact same 2 paragraphs and demonstrate zero understanding of them, I think he's got you on that one. I don't think you've read any, actually. You certainly haven't understood any. But it is time to wrap up for tonight. And really, and if you want to talk about this, Phoenix, let me just say, in the Discord and everything like that, please do. Please don't be a stranger there. I know it is fucking, dire. And I think the only way we get through this is to, you know, build networks of care, even if it isn't necessarily, even if the mutual aid isn't always material in nature. And just fundamentally all we've actually got is ourselves and each other. And I actually think that will, in the end, turn out to be more than enough. Thank you to everyone who's joined in chat. Thank you to Phoenix and Adria and Riveroon, and now I'm gonna have to look because was it I don't know nothing? Was that it, or was it I don't know something else? I don't know nothing. Thanks. Okay, good. And if you aren't already in the Discord, let me just drop you the link to join the Discord. I need to, like, set up a proper outro for this. I have an intro. I need to outroduct people. So there we go, and I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 US Eastern Time, and I look forward to seeing you all then.